Hello, my name is Fichter, and today I'm sitting with Melanie VanHouten, the wonderful director of Josephine Sculpture Park. And today, the both of us are going to be talking about the element of design, space. Space refers to the perspective and proportion of shapes and objects and the relationship and how we perceive them. So there can be positive space, which is something, an area that has something in it, or there can be negative space, an area with something that's not in there, but is implied. So instead of talking about just one sculpture for space, we're actually going to be taking a look at the entirety of Josephine Sculpture Park. Let's go check it out.
Hey, Raleigh, did you know it's International Sculpture Day?
Oh, I did, and it's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I figured just because it's International Sculpture Day, let's talk about the Sculpture Park.
Right on.
So off the bat, why did you choose the space for Josephine Sculpture Park?
Well, a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know that I actually grew up on this property. It was my grandparents' farm, and when I was little, I got to spend, I feel like my whole life just exploring all the different things out here, the barns and the ponds, and there's cactus that grow out here. I don't know if you knew that, but I just really fell in love with this land, and as I grew up, became a sculptor, I wanted, to share it with people, and it just made perfect sense to, farm sculptures out here and instead of tobacco.
Very cool. Well, how big is the park, and then how many public art pieces are you growing?
So originally this farm was 100 acres when I was a kid, but the highway got expanded, and that sort of split the farm in half. So this part became 40, and then part of that was sold. So then the park originally started as 20 acres, but we bought 10 acres back of the original farm a couple years ago. So we now exist on 30 acres, and we have about 70 works of art out here from artists all over the world.
So amidst those 30 acres, how do you decide where you're going to install new pieces or deinstall old pieces?
There's several factors that go into that. Obviously, it depends on what the sculpture is, like how big is it, what is it made of, and where the other sculptures are placed in relation to that. We also have really worked hard. This land, when we originally came back to start the park, had all just kind of been mowed for hay. So it was there wasn't a lot of diversity. And we've been working to improve that. And so there are different natural elements that also come into play. But I think about the park as a huge earthwork. I am a sculptor. That's what I was, making objects before I ever decided to build the sculpture park. And so I approach this landscape and this entire place as a 30-acre composition that has different elements within it. Those elements, some of them are natural elements, and some of them are sculptures that are created by other artists. And so
it becomes very collaborative in that sense, because the artists also have some input in terms of where the sculpture is placed, because it's very different than just going into, kind of a clean white walled gallery space that is sort of more neutral. This place is definitely not neutral.
And so considering the park like a giant earthwork, and you've mentioned the natural elements a little bit, how does the natural landscape play into your vision of the sculpture park?
Well, as I said, it is constantly evolving. If you don't mow your yard, things are going to grow there. And so you could imagine that on a scale of 30 acres, a lot of things can grow up really fast. And some of that's really exciting, and some of it presents a huge challenge to manage. But what we found here is a real diverse landscape. And so as we've let things grow up, we're designating certain areas that are more natural and wooded. We've actually reforested some areas. We've planted tiny Kentucky native trees in there. And then we've cleared some areas to be more of a meadow. And so to me, thinking about space, you have areas like the meadow that are more open and kind of present more negative space and a resting point for the eye. And then you have areas that are more densely, packed with trees or other kind of, natural materials that definitely create a more positive mass.
And so I think it's important as the viewer or the visitor walks through and experiences that space, that you're conscious of how that experience happens and how they come upon a sculpture then that now lives and really coexists with the natural landscape.
Very cool. So now that we're thinking about all of that, what are the new developments that are occurring at Josephine Sculpture Park?
Well, I tell you, Jerry and I have been working on a lot of different projects, kind of in the planning phases, and so we're making the most of this time that we have now to implement some of those projects. And one that we're really excited about is the nature playground, and that is happening in the new 10 acres that we just bought in 2018. So we're super excited about that, and people, I think, it's gonna be a really cool addition to the park for kids of all ages and all abilities, and we're real excited. So people should stay tuned for that. And we're also we have seeded one Kentucky wildflower meadow, and we should be seeding another one here in the next week. So we're gonna have, we think, the largest Kentucky native wildflower meadow in Franklin County. We're gonna have a 2.5 acre meadow in the front entrance of the park, which is also on that new property. So that's really exciting. And part of that also was the barn. We got the tobacco barn back. And so we're gonna be making the most of that space as an interior space that we can use for artworks that maybe aren't quite suitable for outdoors. So it could be a gallery space, it can be a classroom space, and also we can do some live concerts in there. So people should be looking forward to that, and we certainly are. And I mean, we've missed not having people out. We know, people can't come visit right now, but we're really looking forward to people coming back and seeing all the cool stuff we've been working on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it. I think, hope Riley enjoyed it. And
yeah, big time.
we want to wish you guys a happy International Sculpture Day.
Happy International Sculpture Day.
Woo!